Welcome to Second Unitarian Church of Chicago. It's a joy to have you with us. Please rise in body and spirit and join in singing our opening hymn. This is This Joy.
Welcome to Second Unitarian Church. I am Greg Potts, a member of the Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are he and him. Today we are in person at the Admiral at the Lake, the Second Unitarian Sanctuary, and continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. We ask everyone's indulgence for the complications of a three-part service. We're glad you're here whichever way you are attending. If you're in the sanctuary and would benefit from hearing assistance, we have devices available as well as noise-canceling headphones for both adults and children with noise sensitivities. Please see our tech team in the back. We encourage people to wear masks during the service. This practice prevents transmission of COVID and helps us center the needs of those who are most vulnerable. We especially welcome newcomers and visitors this morning. Finding a new community and making new connections can be challenging. Please know that we're excited to have you and look forward to getting to know you. If you are new to us today, note that in the Zoom chat or mention it in person during conversation after the service. If you would like, there are blue mugs you can use to signal to others that you would like them to come up and say hello. If you see someone with a blue mug, be sure to say hello. Not sure what to say? The Drum Allies group has come up with a question each week to help spark conversation. You can find that on the whiteboard directly to the right when you leave the sanctuary. Additionally, we always need people in the kitchen after coffee hour, and that's a great place to see old friends and make new ones while lending a helping hand. Our worship today is led by Reverend Jason Leiden, along with Mary Helen Steindler as worship associate. Music is provided by the 2U Choir, Eleanor York, Taisi Bralavsky, and Director of Music Carl Kennedy. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, the music, and the technical production. They are listed in the order of service, and we thank them for their ongoing care of our congregation. I have a couple of announcements for you this morning. Following service today, we will have our second session of the new member orientation. If you have been considering becoming a member of 2U, you are welcome to join us downstairs in Fleischman Fellowship Hall. Next Sunday, the Social Justice Ministry will host an info session about getting involved in the Chicago Community Jail Support effort that our congregation is engaged in. On the first and third Sunday of the month, we are responsible for showing up at Cook County Jail between 6:30 and 9 p.m. to support those being released. Anyone is able to participate, and if you would like to learn more, please join us in the loft next Sunday after service. I want to let you know about a new fundraising effort that we are doing. Raise Right is a simple and effective fundraising platform where you can purchase digital cards from 750 popular brands. Whether you're buying groceries, gas, dining out, or shopping for home improvement and clothing, every purchase helps. With each gift card purchased through Raise Right, 2U will receive a percentage of your total, contributing to our fundraising efforts. You can find a QR code to sign up in your order of service. The more of us who do so, the more money we can raise for the ministries of our church. And now, a special announcement from Darren Witherspoon about Fall Fest.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I am Darren Witherspoon, the co-chair of the Fall Fest this year, and I have exciting updates about our upcoming Over the Rainbow Fall Fest happening this coming Saturday. So let's get everything, we're really excited. We invite you to come dressed up dressed up in your best Ozian attire, whether you're inspired by the Wise Scarecrow, the Brave Lion, or the Sentimental Tin Man. Join us for an incredible evening showcasing the talents of our congregation, featuring singing, poetry, comedy, and so much more. This is going to be hosted by fabulous drag queens Coco Chanel and Dixie Devereaux, as well as we're going to have enjoy delicious barbecue dinner and with vegan options, as well as a variety of drinks as well. We have our photo booth with the photos will be taken by our own 2U member, Dan Lewis. Our doors are going to open at 5:30. Dinner's going to start at 6. Talent review will begin at 6:45. We are excited to announce that the silent auction is now open and available online. You'll find amazing items, including tickets to the Wizard of Oz in concert, a Wicked movie outing experience for fellow 2U members, as well as several unique experiences, services, dinners, tours, and all hosted by our members of our congregation. The details on how to register for the auction can be found in your order of service. We still need a few volunteers. We still need volunteers to help with setup, decorating, and cleanup. The setup and decorating will take place on Friday, October 25th at 12 p.m. here. And on the day of the event, on Saturday, it will start at 10 a.m. So if you have time, please feel free to come in and help us with the setup piece of it. Lastly, if you have not brought your tickets, please do so as soon as possible so we can get an accurate head count for catering. Please don't let the ticket price hold you back from joining us. We have discounted and free tickets available thanks to our generous members. So feel free to purchase additional tickets to help those out and support others as well. So for more information on how to get tickets, how to sign up for help, or to register for the silent auction, please ease on down to the safe table right up there in the Palmer Room and after the service. Or you can scan the QR code that's in your order of service. Thank you, and looking forward to a great fun time next week.
It's me again. You can find additional announcements in your order of service. I want to say a word about greeting your neighbor. It is vital that we do this with the utmost focus on consent and comfortability. This could be a time when you wave hello to someone or simply smile and offer a head nod. You might shake hands, you might bump elbows, you might hug one another. Whatever method of greeting you do, please ask the other person if they feel comfortable with that same level of contact. Whether it's COVID risk or body comfortability or simply personal preference, we all have different needs about how our bodies are in contact with others. Please be mindful. This is the time to take a moment to greet your neighbor.
Gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near.
Be seated. Good morning. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, adults, and youth, a people of many beliefs and traditions bound not by the specific list of things that we believe, but the values we share, where we keep love at the center. Whether you are joining us for the first time or for the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here. I invite you, when you feel ready, to take a breath in and out. As the music begins, let us enter into our service together.
Thank you, choir. It's always such a pleasure to hear you. In just a moment, Lumi here in the sanctuary in Harris at the Admiral will light our chalices, the symbol of our faith. And we light our chalices this morning with these words adapted from the Reverend David Bamba. Let our time together provide a place where memories are rooted, where mysteries are pondered, where dreams are nourished, where love is freely given, where failures are owned and accepted, where sorrows are transformed, where our lives are deepened, challenged, and uplifted. Let this be such a time and place.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in reciting our covenant. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion. Please lift your voices once more and join Eleanor in singing our congregational hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit
I want to invite those who are young in age or young in spirit to join me here on the chancel. We have a book today with some pictures and would love to share with you this book. I love you. Thank you so much. It's really nice to spend time with you this morning. One of the beautiful things about church is that we get to love on each other. One of the other things that we do at church, in addition to care about each other and love each other, is that sometimes we talk about hard things. We play a lot. That's really important too, absolutely. And so today, with the adults, we're talking about some tough stuff and wanted to see if we might be able to talk about a little tough stuff together. But it's also not just tough stuff, it's beautiful stuff. It is powerful stuff. And it's things that get to the core of who we are. And so this is a book that's called What Happens When We Die? And I'm going to do my best to hold this and my microphone. Annabelle and Aiden peek outside through their large window. Through the trees, they see a bird flying far too low. The wind blows hard behind its wings. It's going way too fast. It tries to fly over the house, but bangs into the glass. They run outside to find the bird. They see its crooked bill, its eyes closed, its belly up, its body silent still. Oh my gosh, what should we do? Do you think that it's dead? Let's find our friends to help us out, young Aiden quickly said. All the friends were gathered and stood around that bird. Even Tom was deep in thought, and not a sound was heard. Annabelle asked, what happens when we have to say goodbye? What happens when we leave this life? What happens when we die? Aiden said, this makes me scared. I may need to pretend that even though our brains turn off, that this is not the end. Maybe there's magic part of us that floats above, that sees, hears, and feels the things that dreams can speak of. Maybe to a place filled with chocolate kangaroos and cookie hats and flying fish and pink marshmallow shoes. And bullies go to a place where beds are full of ants, where toenail soup is all they eat and prickly underpants. Skeptosaurus says, maybe, but is there evidence anything's possible? But do you think it makes sense? We don't yet have much reason to think any of that's true, at least not nearly as much as for why we would want it to. But before you cry and whine, complain, moan, or bawl, learn the things we do know, the greatest things of all. You'll see the truth is just as great. You don't have to always pretend. You're right about one thing, my boy, that death is not the end. While your brain and your body may have had their last act, their energy never dies. That's a scientific fact. Your atoms will spread out to rejoin the universe. As flowers or rain showers or as stardust, they'll disperse. Every piece of you stays right here. That doesn't change. The only difference might be that you're differently arranged. Every single vibration that you've ever made, every particle or atom that bounced off your face or was swayed by your smile or the touch of your hair will be forever changed by you. That will always be there. With the memories you leave for the people that you love, whom you have changed forever in more ways than you dream of. Oh, how lucky that we're here. We get to give it our best shot. Like this bird, how he soared, how he gave it all he got. Now he'll change to something else from our fair blue feathered friend. But his energy and atoms, well, their journey never ends. Goodbye, bird, Aiden smiled. We won't ever forget you. but now it's time for us to go. There's so much for us to do. What's it like hearing that story? Yeah, Zella. The rhymes made it kind of hard to understand it. I hear you. Yeah, Lumi. Why can the pterodactyl talk? Like imagination, right? Like what's going on with our imaginations? Extinct creatures, conversations. How are all of these things happening? This is really good questions. There was never a time where humans were hunting dinosaurs, my sweet, sweet friend. I promise no. Nope. I promise. It is confusing. It's so confusing about what happens when, right? Our timelines of life. There's too much to keep track of. I couldn't agree more. History and lineage and where everything happens. I agree. Any thoughts over here, my friends? No pressure. It's okay. Malachi, last thoughts. It's so hard that everyone believes different things, and it's so different. We're all different. Is that what you were saying? Yeah, it's amazing that we believe so many different things. That's one of the beautiful things about our religion is that we respect what it is that people believe. So thank you for leaving us with that. And now we will sing. Oh, sorry, Lumi, one last comment. Why is there a dinosaur thing? If we don't, that's a good question. I think that the author and illustrator was getting us to use our imaginations. All right, we're gonna sing My Friend Zella, if that's okay. We're gonna go off to class. Can you please join me in singing our young people to class? So each year, I'll make a commitment, a pledge to support the ministry of this church to resource all of the work that we do. In addition to this pledge that we make, we take a contribution every Sunday so that we can share with those who are doing justice work beyond our walls. While we're not all able to be in the sanctuary, we can all participate in this giving. You will notice during the music there is a phone number on the screen that you can do text to give. Here in the sanctuary, we will pass around plates that you can put cash or checks in. And for the month of October, we are sharing our plate with two efforts supporting refugees in our city. And this morning, we have some words from Maddie and Karen.
Good morning, my name is Karen Golder. I'm a member of the church, and my pronouns are she, hers.
Come on up, maybe. I am part of the team sponsoring a Rohingya refugee families resettlement. Tom Clues, who's spoken here before about this, met one of the family members, Mohammed, through a Rohingya music project with Crossing Borders Music that Thompson leads. The Rohingya people lived for generations in Myanmar, Burma, and they were stripped of their citizenship and violently expelled in 2016, when tens of thousands of Rohingya people were killed. The family now lives in the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh. However, conditions there are still not safe for the Rohingya people. And so a group of us here from 2U are sponsoring the family through the United States government's Welcome Corps program. In order to submit our application for the family, we need to have raised approximately $10,000 toward their resettlement costs, and we've raised just about $8,000 so far. So money will go towards the family resettlement costs once they arrive in Chicago. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Hi everyone, my name is Maddie. I'm part of the other 2U group that is working with Welcome Corps. We're also working with an organization called Rainbow Railroad, which supports LGBTQ plus individuals fleeing persecution due to their sexual orientation, gender identity, or sex characteristics. So far, we've helped our refugee begin ESL classes, get a venture card and library card, secure a cell phone, laptop, and access to medical care, and find an apartment. Right now, our top priority is helping them apply for jobs. The volunteer work has been incredibly rewarding, but it requires a lot of time and financial resources. And so I'm up here asking if any support you could provide would mean a lot, whether it's monetary or offering your time. For instance, since we are working to help them get a job before our 40 days are up, if you have any job connections or any leads that you know of that you might be able to apply for, that would be incredibly helpful. We also are in need of a vehicle to move a dresser out of storage. It's a long story. So if you have a truck or a minivan to help us, that would also be incredibly helpful. Thank you so much for considering to help us.
Now, I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. The words are printed in your order of service and are on the screen. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
I invite you now to join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Let's begin by breathing together. Relaxing your body, Release the tension in your neck. Roll back your shoulders. Feel the air fill your belly as it rises and falls. Just breathe into this moment. Begin in thanks. Thankful for the breath in our lungs, the beauty of our earth, and the strength of this, our beloved community. We hold in our hearts those who care for family and ill health, those who live with grief or chronic pain, those struggling with addiction or illness, seen and unseen. We are with you. Parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children, we are with you. Pray for our neighbors in prison, for those who are struggling to stay afloat in the midst of poverty, for immigrants who are fleeing and seeking, finding new homes in our city amongst many. We are with you. Pray for all those living in harm's way. Pray for our planet and commit to work that will lead us away from the harms of climate chaos. As war and genocide continue around our world, we pray that wisdom, compassion, and empathy guide these leaders of ours. May they and we be instruments of a just and lasting peace. Our lives are truly blessed by those who knowingly, with curiosity and courage, face their final days. Into this, our shared silence across space, I invite you now to speak aloud the names of anyone you wish to lift up into the loving support of our community. With our deepest compassion, those hold in our hearts, those named and unnamed, those remembered and those forgotten. Let it be so. Amen, and blessed be. During our ritual of lighting candles for joys and concerns, we want to continue to take care of one another. In the 2U sanctuary, shortly I will invite you forward to light a candle, and as you end your time of contemplation and candle lighting, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer that's available. For those at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward and take a pebble from one bowl. Hold it tightly in your hand, putting your energy into that stone, and then knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by this community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. For those of us on Zoom, please join by sharing your We hold all of these, our shared joys, celebrations, concerns, and sorrows close to our hearts. Brianna, would you share our first reading, please?
Our first reading this morning is entitled Release, written by Peter Friedrichs. I wish I were like the trees who let their leaves go gracefully without regret, or the tumbling stream that flushes silt to the sea, exchanging murkiness for blessed clarity, or the dandelion who bows its head to the subtle breeze, unleashing its future without fear or loss. Instead, I drive white-knuckled, defensive as we were taught, tense and guarded for what might come my way. I keep a death grip on my life. If you ask me for my dying wish, it would not be for 10 more wishes. It would be to let go of wishing anymore. Wishing I'd made different choices and that I hadn't hurt you as I did, and to forego these old and dusty grudges that I keep like pictures in a shoebox beside my bed. I long to embrace my life with a lover's touch, or as you would an injured wren, precious, tender, and true. Instead, regret and fear, twin anchors, hold me fast, close in against the shore. Cast off, I hear them call from the open exotic lands my heart yearns for. But the waters in between my here and theirs hold unknown hazards, unlike this dark, familiar port. This day, a prayer, to ease my grip on what once was or what it is meant to be, that I may find myself content to drift and float upon life's boundless sea.
Our second reading is Go Gentle by Linda Patson. You have grown wings of pain and flap around the bed like a wounded gull, calling for water, calling for tea, for grapes whose skin you cannot penetrate. Remember when you taught me how to swim? Let go, you said. The lake will hold you up. I long to say, Father, let go, and death will hold you up. Outside, the fall goes on without us. How easily the leaves give in. I hear them on the last breath of the wind, passing this disappearing place. It's your anthem. Grateful for a tech team that takes care of us. Grateful for a choir who adds so much to our service. What a gift it is to co-create worship week after week. So when I was, can we get this down a tiny bit maybe? When I was 19 years old, I was misdiagnosed with a terminal illness. My body had turned jaundiced, and my liver was acting in very strange ways, and my body was just not functioning the ways it was supposed to. 19 years old, and I believed that I was imminently dying. I just finished my freshman year of college at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. I was living with my mom and stepfather in Maryland. They had moved there the day after my graduation from high school. I didn't know anyone in Maryland aside from my parents. I had pulled away from much of my UU community after being passed over for a position at the UUA. My first boyfriend had broken up with me just before we left school, and he was off on a cross-country road trip with one of our mutual friends. I was feeling devastated and profoundly alone. 19 years old, and I did not want to die. There were so many things I still wanted to do. There were so many places I wanted to see. There was love I wanted to experience. There were social movements I longed to see advance and win. There was a family I loved deeply. I was scared. I was angry. I was lonely. In some ways, though, I was prepared for this moment. As a child, I had terrible anxiety and debilitating panic attacks related to the inevitability of death. I would find myself ruminating on how everyone I knew would die and how I would die, not imminently, but one day. I wasn't afraid of pain or suffering. I wasn't afraid necessarily of loneliness or abandonment. I was simply terrified of the complete unknown future. My loving parents got me therapy, and I worked with great adults who helped me wrestle with the meaning of death, my beliefs around death, my fears of death, and how I could live a life knowing that death would one day not just find me, but all of us. It was scary, but it became a more manageable fear. The fear also became just less prevalent in my mind, something I was able to notice come up and then practice letting it go without grasping on and feeling crushed by it. The diagnosis of a terminal illness brought me face to face with something I had spent years letting go of. Even though I felt lonely and scared, my parents were there for me to cry, rage, go to doctor's appointments, and my favorite, test drive my dream car, a standard transmission Jeep Wrangler. It is still my dream car, so should you want to get me one, I will accept it. My journal from this time, likely the most spiritually rooted and emotionally engaged writing I've likely ever done in my life. I wrote a lot about being angry. As a humanist, I wasn't angry at God, but rather I was angry at the injustice of the universe. It felt profoundly unfair. Why me? Why now? Why this? I was afraid that I would eventually be in great pain and wondered what that would be like. I reflected on what I believed would happen after death, and to be honest, my theology of death that developed in my childhood has not significantly changed over the decades. It's very similar to the storybook we heard already, and I'll share more about that in a bit. But as I journaled 22 years ago, I articulated a faith that offered me some comfort amongst the fear and suffering. Now, obviously, the doctors were wrong. I can give you a litany of reasons why I think they failed me in this moment. Our medical system has much to learn about the ways it takes care of its patients, but that's a topic for another day. I am grateful that I did not die when I was 19. There are so many things in my life I am proud of that I would never have accomplished. There are moments of learning and connecting that I would never have experienced. I'm glad I did not die when they said I was going to. It's important that ministers preach about death and dying on a somewhat regular basis at church. The impetus for this sermon came about because of a comment I received from a congregant about a line in our weekly pastoral prayer. Each week you hear me say the words, "We are blessed by those who knowingly, with curiosity and courage, face their final days." But what about those who encounter death unexpectedly? What about those who find themselves angry, scared, or deeply regretful as they approach death? Are we any less blessed by them? I spent a lot of time reading anthologies of poems I have and scouring regular places I look online for readings in preparation for sermons. And I was incredibly disappointed that I could not find sufficient text that really addressed these realities. So many of the readings and poems are about a life well lived, letting go, embracing death, and knowing that death is simply a transformation as opposed to an ending. These are all important, but what of the question from our 2U congregant? Less than 2 years ago, I did a memorial service in this sanctuary for a stillborn baby. While this baby was unable to experience all the feelings of rage, regret, pain, and feelings of unfairness, his parents certainly did. They did not encounter death with grace, nor should they have. They survived. They got through. But as we've said before, sometimes what doesn't kill you simply doesn't kill you. I'm blessed to know this family still, and know that their life has experienced joy since this loss, including welcoming the birth of another baby. And the feelings of injustice connected with the death of their beloved son will likely never fully go away. Are they any less blessed for us to connect to? Are they any less whole? Are they any less worthy of our prayer? When I served the Community Church of Boston, I spent a lot of time caring for older adults who were facing the end of their lives. This was a group of people who prided themselves on struggling for transformation in our society, big dreams of social justice. As they found themselves reaching the end of their lives, they struggled with great feelings of guilt and disappointment. The world they dreamed of would not come to be before they died. They wondered what else they could have done. They wanted to protest death, but no picket lines, petitions, or direct actions would keep the hands of death away. They did not want to die. There was so much more to fight for. Regrets plagued their hearts. What else could have been done? One of the challenges that comes up when finding oneself at the moment of death is understanding what one believes comes next. Unitarian Universalists do not offer a lot of concrete answers when it comes to this question. Our theological diversity and liberal religious practice leave the final questions to these big questions up to each individual. There is great beauty in that tradition, and it can feel a bit lonely and, in my opinion, at times annoying. Religion is supposed to provide comfort and care, especially when it comes to big questions of life and death. If we're not telling helpful stories about death and providing some roadmaps about the meaning of death, it seems to me that we're failing at one of our key responsibilities as a religious community. Unitarian Universalism is not devoid of answers to what happens when we die. Our Universalist ancestors teach us that we do not have to fear death. They teach us that there is no hell after death, that we are fully accepted by divine love. Whatever it is we believe happens after death, Universalism teaches us that it is good. Our Unitarian ancestors also offer us wisdom. As a religion that celebrated the rational, it was irrational to believe that a loving God would condemn people to eternal suffering. Not all Unitarians believed in universal salvation, though they generally rejected the belief that God would condemn God's people for all time. And eternally punishing God, this concept contradicted the belief in a compassionate God. Our individual theologies may or may not include an otherworldly God. Maybe we believe in the power of the universe that connects all existence, the idea of returning to our beautiful and sacred earth. My faith teaches me, as we heard in our children's story again, that we do indeed live on after death. We're made up of atoms that vibrate at different frequencies. These atoms have existed since the beginning of time. And where I diverge from our children's book this morning is that I don't think it's so wrong to say some of it is magic. Because it is both magic and science that these atoms happened to come together to create us as individuals. What an unlikely chance. You could even maybe call it a miracle that we ever came to be. Your atoms making you, your beloved's atoms making them, my atoms making me. Amazing. When we die, these atoms, they do not go away. They shift and change. Our existence transforms. It does not end. No energy is created and no energy is destroyed. It constantly changes. This change reminds me of a Langston Hughes poem I want to share. Dear lovely death, that taketh all things under wing, never to kill, only to change into some other thing. This suffering flesh to make it either more or less, but not again the same. Dear lovely death, change is thy other name. We do not only live on within the atomic level of existence. We live on in the memories of those who loved us and the impact we had on this world. The lives we live define the ways we continue beyond our deaths. There are things in our lives that we are likely proud of, just as there are things we regret, both things we did and things we left undone. We leave all of that behind. The hope or prayer is that we have done the work to heal the harms we caused. Well, that's not always possible. Sometimes death finds us and we have unfinished business. Now, I don't believe in literal ghosts, but I imagine that sometimes we continue to haunt people who have felt wronged by us, or we experience the haunting of others who have wronged us. Could knowing this truth make it harder to face death? Could knowing this truth make us hold on to life a little longer as we strive to heal that which is broken? Are there things in your life you want to heal before you discover that it's too late? What must not be left undone in your life? So many more questions. Might the inevitability of death lead to behaviors in life that help us feel worthy of a good death? I find myself wondering if your own experiences of remembering those in your life who have died give you a sense of this inner knowing. Are there those you miss with your whole heart? There are those you still feel angry with who are no longer living. Are there those you long to hear speak to you just one more time so that you could hold their words close to your hearts? Does your memory keep them alive? Young queer author Britton Smith writes, "When we die, all the water in our bodies return to the water cycle. I grew up thinking I was going to hell. What if someone had said to me, yeah, maybe the church says that? But what's bigger than the church is nature. And nature says that no matter how you love, you will return back to this holy, sacred thing. One day, you'll become rain." This belief parallels what the Unitarian transcendentalist Ralph Waldo Emerson articulated when he wrote, "At death, our souls are reabsorbed into the eternal. Our interconnectedness does not end after we die, whether we die with curiosity and courage, or with anger and regret, or a combination of so many feelings. We're still connected to the all, and we are still blessed." I want you to take a moment to attend to your body and your mind. As you sit in your chair listening to my words, are you finding yourself distracted, anxious, comforted, questioning? Can you locate your feelings in your body? Is there a reaction in your belly? Are your armpits sweaty? Does your throat feel tight? Do your muscles feel relaxed? Are you feeling held, abandoned? I do not presume that the words I offer from the pulpit always elicit the feelings I'm hoping to cultivate. Everyone has their own experience of church, including reactions to the sermon. And I wonder what you're feeling right now. What it's like to hear me talk so openly about death and dying. Are there people in your life who you have lost who are coming to your mind right now? Are there people in your life who are dying who you are already grieving? Are you coming to the end of your own life and wrestling with some of the feelings or entirely different feelings that have come up this morning? Do you feel even more open to talking about any of these things with others in your life, with me, with people at church, speaking truth about death? This has been a morning filled with questions. It's often said that Unitarian Universalism has questions for all of your answers. I hope that these questions feel helpful rather than overwhelming. I'm so grateful to the congregant who asked me to address the words in our prayer, and I will be changing the words to be more expansive moving forward. We are blessed by all people, no matter how they're facing death. We have much to learn from all the ways death is encountered. It is our responsibility to reserve judgment and instead offer loving accompaniment. It might not always be easy. It may be even the hardest thing we ever do in our lives. And it's essential. It's a central purpose of church. And it's a calling for all of us to embrace. Death comes, and however we encounter it, it's my prayer that we're not doing so all alone. Let it be so, and amen. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life. I invite you to rest your hands upon your heart, or clasp hands with those you are sharing your life with, and hear these words from Tony Bushman. As our time together comes to a close, we give thanks for one another, for the chance to share our lives and renew our spirits in the company of friends. May we go forth enriched by our gathering, committed to living life fully, to loving life with more passion, and to supporting one another.